Our lecture for today is the characteristic of a junction diode. Introduction: diode is the simplest type of semiconductor device. In general, it is a two-terminal electronic device that permits current flow, predominantly in only one direction. The current that passes depends upon the voltage between the leads. They do not obey Ohm's law. It is unidirectional, i.e. current flows in only one direction, anode to cathode internally. When a forward voltage is applied, the diode conducts, and when a reverse voltage is applied, there is no conduction. Diodes are a rectifying device, in other words a device that converts the flow of AC to DC power. The diode itself is not a new device, its original form was in a vacuum tube, which in itself is a device with a venerable history. An ideal diode is like a light switch in your home. When the switch is closed, the circuit is completed, and the light turns on. When the switch is open, there is no current and the light is off. A semiconductor diode consists of a p-n junction and has two terminals, an anode, positive, and a cathode, negative. Current flows from anode to cathode within the diode. Here we will see two photos, in these two photos how the diode look like and also p side and n side. The p-n junction diode. When a p-type semiconductor is brought in contact with an n-type semiconductor, a p-n junction is formed and the diffusion process begins. Owing to the force of attraction between the unlike charges on either side of the junction, the holes, majority carriers on the p side, begin to diffuse into the n-type, and at the same time, the electrons, the majority carriers on the n side, diffuse into the p side. The movement of these charges gives rise to the diffusion current. Following the passive convention for the current, the diffusion current is from the p side into the n side. In this photo, we will see the position of p-type and n-type with the position of depletion region. Biasing the junction diode. A forward-biased p-n junction occurs when the positive terminal of a battery is connected to the p side and the negative terminal of a battery is connected to the n side. As we see in this photo, the positive terminal of the battery removes the free electrons from the p side and forces the holes to move toward the depletion region. As soon as the holes enter the depletion region, they end up neutralizing the negative charge. The reduction in the negative charge causes a decrease in the depletion region on the p side. A similar phenomenon occurs on the n side where the negative terminal of the battery removes the holes from the n side and pushes the free electrons toward the depletion region. As the electrons migrate into the depletion region, they neutralize the positive charges, holes, causing a reduction in the depletion region. Biasing the junction diode. A reverse-biased p-n junction occurs when the positive terminal of a battery is connected to the n side and the negative terminal of a battery is connected to the p side. As we see in this photo, the positive end of the battery removes electrons from the n side and forces holes to move toward its depletion region. Likewise, the negative end of the battery removes the holes from the p side and makes the electrons to move toward its depletion region. As the depletion region widens on both sides of the junction, it further restricts any diffusion activity that might be taking place due to the thermal energy. Thus, in a reverse-biased p-n junction, the current is essentially zero. Keep in mind that the reverse current in a reverse-biased p-n junction can never be zero because of the thermally produced free electrons and holes in the intrinsic semiconductor. The voltage at which the p-n junction diode begins to conduct in the reverse direction is defined as the breakdown voltage, Zener voltage, or the peak inverse voltage. The most important point to remember about the p-n junction diode is its ability to offer very little resistance to current flow in the forward bias direction, but maximum resistance to current flow when reverse biased. Characteristic curve. This is the characteristic curve of a p-n junction diode. It shows the slow, then abrupt rise of current as the voltage is raised. Under reverse bias, even very large voltages will cause only very small currents, essentially constant reverse bias currents. The reverse bias current depends mainly on the rate of thermal generation of the electron-hole pairs. If the p-n junction is operated in the fourth quadrant, the product of a negative current and a positive voltage will yield a negative power. Physically, this corresponds to a source of power. Consequently, a p-n junction operated in the fourth quadrant can be used as a source of power. This is the principle behind the solar cell. However, a typical diode characteristic is more like the following. Here we will see two graphs. In these two graphs, we will see how the reverse and forward bias look like. The medical applications of diode 1. The diode is unidirectional, current flows in only one direction. This work is similar to A. In cardiovascular system, the valve of the heart permits the blood to flow in only one direction. B. In nervous system, the synapse that connects the neuron to the other neuron only permits the action potential to move along the axon away from its own cell body. 2. In bone growth. Bone contains collagen, which behaves like an N-type semiconductor, that is, it conducts current mainly by negative charges, and mineral crystals, which behaves like a P-type semiconductor, that is, they conduct current mainly by positive charges. 3. The diode used to produce laser in semiconductor laser. 4. In dentistry. A. Some light cures work like the diode. B. All power supplies of dental chairs depend on diode in their work.